Hey, my friend, this is Stone. I hope your week is starting off right. So, I don't know about you, but whenever I've tried to form habits in the past, whenever I start, I have the best of intentions and the best of motivation. And after 3 or 4 or 5 days of trying to work on something becoming a habit, that newness, that honeymoon phase kind of wears off, and then it doesn't stick. It doesn't last. It might last for a little while, but they usually didn't become habits. And so what's allowed me to form habits much more quickly are these things called A prompts, like A is in apple. And a prompt, if you ever get a dialog box on your computer that just pops up while you're working and it tells you to do something, okay, that's called a prompt. And so that idea is that it's a trigger, right? It's a trigger that gets you to do something. And so that's really what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about getting past that honeymoon phase whenever keeping habits gets difficult on a daily basis and you have these triggers that go off that help you to stay on track, help you to keep doing something until it does form into a habit. And there are 3 of these. So if you stick to this video, it's really going to help you to do that. If you haven't already, go to stonejordan.info and subscribe. You're going to receive goodies in your inbox every single week along with these videos, and it'll also allow you to download the blueprint, which is going to have this video in summary, and then it's going to offer you a 7-day challenge so that you really make this a part of your life and you really do go through the process to really form habits rather than it going in one ear and out the other. So watch the video, form habits more quickly. I hope you have a great week this week. We'll talk to you there. All right, so you're going to find this information to be huge because what this is going to do is those times whenever you just give up on a habit, when you get to that weak link in the chain, what's really happened is it's not new anymore and you don't have that same motivation to get it done, and you don't have anything that prompts you, that triggers you to get it done. That is exactly what this is going to do. So take notes, download the blueprint, make sure you follow this, and you will be able to form any habit with these A prompts. So let's start with number 1. The number 1 A prompt is the anchored prompt. What do I mean by anchored? There's only a few things in our lives that we do roughly at the same time every day for most of us. Okay, what time you get up in the morning, what time you eat lunch, what time you go to bed at night. These things are fairly anchored for most of us, right? They happen at roughly the same time. They're anchored to our schedule at roughly the same time every single day. Now, some of you may have other things that are ritualized and routine like that, but for most of us, those 3. So it's very easy because you're not interrupting some pattern throughout the day to try to attach an action that you want to form into a habit to one of these anchored routines. For example, when I get up in the morning, okay, the night before I've already dressed to work out, and then the first thing I do when I get up, I turn that alarm off, I put my socks on, I put my shoes on, I let my friend in, my accountability partner that I work out with every morning, we go into the room and work out. That routine never changes for me, and it's become a habit very easily because it is anchored to that getting up, to turning off the alarm, and I go right into the flow of that routine, and it happens every time. If you take a habit, if you take an action you want to form into a habit, and you anchor it to something that's already in motion or in force, that's half the battle. You're swimming downstream. So number 1 is the anchored prompt. Anchor, trigger that action to something that's already in motion or in force. Number 2 is the access prompt. Now, basic psychology will tell you that certain locations, certain rooms, certain areas invoke different emotions. And you don't have to know basic psychology to know that. If you look at your own life, when you enter your bedroom, maybe that makes you feel relaxed or tired or ready to go to bed or at peace. If you enter your kitchen, maybe that makes you feel hungry or like it's time to eat. If you enter your office, maybe that's when it's time to get down to work, right? Different areas invoke different emotions. So how do you utilize that? You utilize that by thinking of any action or habit you want to form, and can I attach that to a specific area, to whenever I access that area, that it's going to trigger that I want to be a certain identity, or I want it to trigger a certain action that I can form into a habit. A great example of this would be if you want to say a prayer or meditate whenever you go into your office in the morning, then you go in and the first thing you do when you walk into that office, the very first thing, you go straight to the chair and you say your prayer or you meditate. Now, if you get used to doing that, it becomes on autopilot. You walk into that room, you access that room, and you can't help but think, this is exactly what I need to go and do. You're going with the flow, and it triggers you to create that habit. The first thing I do whenever I sit down at my chair in the morning is I will say a prayer for my day, and I ask God to guide me in the different areas of my life. So again, that second trigger, that is the access prompt, when you access an area. So that's number 2, access prompt. The third trigger is the alarm prompt. Now this may seem basic, but it is huge. And the litmus test is, are you doing this? If not, you need to try it out. Okay, most of your alarms on your phones will have a specific alarm that you can label. If you have a certain action that you want to complete, you set it for a certain time every single day. Again, it'd be great if you could ritualize it, set it to something that's already anchored. Use several of these prompts together, but you label it, and you have that alarm go off at the same time every day. It becomes repetitive. Repetition is the mother of skill, and you get used to doing this thing at the same time, but it doesn't have to be of your own consciousness. The alarm goes off, you do it right then. So you have the alarm prompt. I use an Android phone and I use an app called Alarm Clock Extreme. Apple devices, I think the stock app may even has the ability to be able to label your different alarms. But here's the thing, those are the 3 prompts. If you will do this, and that is the key. And here's the other thing, if you will do these together. If you have an action that you want to form into a habit, and you can use all 3 of these prompts with the action, you're set up for success. Now again, some actions you won't be able to use all 3 prompts with, so you use as many as you can. But if you use these access prompts, they are the power of the trigger. They are the power of the prompt, which gets you used to being intentional, internalizing, to where then you don't have to think about the action anymore. And that's really the definition of the habit, right? It's something you do without even thinking about it. I hope you have found this super powerful, and I hope you go through this week practicing this. Whatever you do, my friend, just remember that this week is a gift, so do 2 things with it. Be both purposeful and productive. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you do in order to help form habits. Leave that below. I hope you have a great week this week, and we'll talk to you next time.